Hello, we're rolling. So today is, what is today? It is August 3rd, 2018, and here is your reading. So the cards you picked in this bag are the Universal Weight Tarot, and the decks you picked. Oh, I didn't bring my. Oh, well, I'll just tell you. It's it's a mixture of two oracle card decks. Is the other one you picked deities. So this is a mixture of the Gods and Titans deck and the Goddesses and Sirens deck of Stacey DeMarco, and the illustrations are by Jimmy Manton, my favorite oracle card artist. And I drew these two cards for you using this 9-digit number that you gave me, using some numerology. And this was interesting because the two numbers I resolved your number to are 19 and 48. So I thought I'd point that. It usually doesn't matter, but because 1948 is a year in living memory, I wonder if that is meaningful to you. If that's like, a special family member's birth date, or if something happened in your family in 1948. But I just thought I'd bring that up since it usually doesn't resolve to something that turns into a year in living memory that way. So this card I drew from the tarot, and this one I drew, I usually like to leave this to the end to sum up the reading. And so we'll leave that over here. And this one from the Oracle deck, I usually like to start the reading with to kind of set the tone or theme maybe for the reading. So let's see what you got. You got you got fear. So that tells me that maybe the question is coming from a place of fear. And actually, knowing the question, it kind of might be a little bit of fear and insecurity and whatnot. So let's take a look at your question for the people who don't know it, if anybody else is watching. So here's your question. You're recovering from a breakup that left you insecure and doubtful. You wanted to know what my ex, John, still finds attractive about me or likes about me, but not what he did in the past. What makes you stand out from the others, but in the present moment. So I guess it's like, what did he walk, after the relationship ended, I'm reading this as like, what did he walk away with? Like, what are the fond things that he remembers about you, rather than maybe what initially attracted him to you? And I kind of asked, like, well, what was your goal in asking this question? And you said, I think it's to help me prove my self-esteem after he wandered, to know that he wasn't lying about his feelings for me before, if that makes any sense. So, yeah, and let me just, and you just want to feel better, you said. So let's take a look. I'm just kind of scanning the rest of our conversation. Yeah, that's really sums up the gist of it. And I'll probably go back to that and check to make sure I addressed everything like part of the way through the reading. So let me get a foundation built for you. I'm going to kind of structure this as a normal relationship reading, and then we'll look at that added dimension of those qualities. Okay, we're going to draw 3 cards. 1, 2, and 3. So let's kind of see where you are right now. Where's your energy? What's going on? Okay. Okay, this is interesting. I should have asked, when I asked the question, if there was any other person that you have your sights on right now, or if you're just kind of still in a healing mode. But since I didn't ask that, I'll have to kind of because I see how these could go either way. But in any case, I think, what, in your recent past, the star reversed. This is usually on a positive way. This is usually about, where can you be a star? This is about after something has been totally, after your life has crumbled, basically down to the foundations, when a big upset happens in your life, the star is the next card in the sequence. So it's that tiny point of light when you're just like, you're getting your groove back, and you're about to shine again. And basically, it came up reversed though, so it's blocked. So I usually read this. If this is advice, I would say, where can you be a star? Where can you be a star in your life? Where can you, use all of your strengths, make something happen, and shine like a star? In this case, though, it's kind of like coming into like the foundation of the reading. I'd say that little spark after the breakup is it's like a cloudy night. It's having a hard time right now because of the reversal. Reversals I look at as blocked energy, delays, things that are really tough. So I think it's hard to get that spark back after this relationship for you. Now, and then this one's about building and being grounded. So this is the Three of Pentacles. Three of Pentacles, you see in the scene here, it's sort of like a construction project, and people are sort of, there's like something what looks like a blueprint in this person's hand, and then you have the craftsman here. So this is about basically taking looking at the tarot, like 1 through 3 is sort of a mini cycle, 1 through 3, 4 through 6, then 7 through 9. So the conclusion of this mini cycle in your life, or this sort of this scene, if you think of it like in the terms of like drama, like the scene of your life, this would be about like, accomplishments, building stuff. So pentacles are the suit of the material plane. So it can mean things like your livelihood, your ability to clothe, feed, and shelter yourself, home life. But it also, I think, at a fundamental level means being grounded. So I would say, like, you probably are in a phase where you need to like ground yourself again. And because this came up as reversed, it's going to be super difficult. It's either going to be difficult or it's just going to take a while for you to heal. So like, the construction that's going on here on the material plane, I think in the terms of a relationship reading, I read this as like, okay, it's time to really it's time to kind of like look at the blueprints, figure out where is it that you need to go in your life, in terms of, and I'm trying not to use the word construction, like where can you lay a foundation? Like cathedrals need a strong foundation. So right now, where can you lay a foundation so that you get that feeling of groundedness in your life back again after having suffered a breakup? But because it was reversed, it's going to be difficult. Now, this is why this card is a little bit why I said, I should have found out if you are seeing someone new or kind of what's the situation now, like, because this is the deception card. Like usually in one of the default meanings for this card in a romantic reading is that some cheating has gone on. Most people just like, who do much more literal interpretations of the tarot cards, like who have like, I'm not a memorized person. I kind of go a little bit with intuition, and I very much play off the visual scene in the card. But like, dictionary definition of this card, deception. So when this comes up in a relationship reading, it means that you are being cheated on. If this comes up like in a business deal, this would be like, don't sign the contract because someone's not telling you the truth, that kind of stuff. Now, there are some broader interpretations. So in case this doesn't make sense to you about this deception, the scene is like, a guy's carrying 5 swords, and he's like kind of like tiptoeing away from a camp. There's like a series of tents here, like a camp, and then if on this side there's like some soldiers gathered around a fire, and they're just way in the distance, and he's sort of slinking off with these swords. So all tarot cards have a light side and a dark side. So the dark side of this is pure deception, right? What we don't know, however, we don't really know what's going on here. Is he stealing swords that are actually rightfully his? That were stolen from him in the first place? So there's some ambiguity here. There's also, the possibility, like, what if the soldiers that he's stealing these swords from are using them to commit genocide, right? He might be doing this for a noble cause. We don't know. That's part of the ambiguity of this card, like that it can kind of go either way. But in any case, even if it's for a noble cause, there is definitely some deception going on an intellectual level, on a rational level. The swords are the suit of the mind. So it's about mental energy, things that you're using your reason and whatnot. So Given the kind of question you asked, this could be about self-deception too. So, you know, in order to get your star shining back again, to build that foundation of groundedness, to conquer fear, like fear seems to be a theme of the reading since we pulled that for you. I wonder if this deception could be self-deception too. That might be another way to interpret it, since this is at the foundation of the reading and it doesn't have specifically to do with we're going to pick a card for your energy of the relationship and his energy of the relationship, but since this is at the foundation, I wonder if you're deceiving yourself, since you mentioned self-esteem. Looking externally to figure out what this guy who's no longer part of your life liked about you to kind of get your groove back. Maybe the deception is that you need to look externally, right, for that information, and that you don't already know what you have to offer might be the deception that's going on. But anyway, I'll move on, because you'll have to tell me how you see this card now that I've described it. Let's do now the core relationship part, and then we'll move on to the qualities part of the question. So I'm going to draw 3 cards here. One for, well, I'll just announce them. This one's for you, your energy in the relationship. This one's for him. And now let's look at the energy, a third one for the energy between the two of you. Okay. Okay, so, well, his is heartbreak. But it's not like on necessarily purely on an emotional level. So his energy is the 3 of Swords. So swords, as we just talked about, are all about mental energy, the mind, rational thinking, rational thought, reason. It's the suit of air. Air is the element here. And you see a stormy scene in these like three swords piercing a heart. So usually this is the heartbreak card. So I mean, to me, since it's over already, where is his energy today? Because this is all about today. He is heartbroken, definitely, and he's thinking about stuff, right? And it's rough for him because this is reversed. So I think the reversal here, the blocked energy could be a time component. So it might be saying that it's going to take him quite a while to get over the breakup here. Your energy, on the other hand, is reversed too. So you have some blockage as well. So you got the Page of Wands. So pages are learners. They're beginners, and wands are the suit of fire. They're the suit of like fire, meaning like the fire inside of you, so therefore passion and will. So to me, the energy of the relationship, and actually I have no idea how old you are. I don't know if maybe this was like maybe like one of your first or longest relationships, so that like from a foundational perspective, maybe this is you learning how to like the energy of this, your energy in this relationship might have been like, okay, I'm learning how to have a longer term relationship, because prior to here, it was the high school type relationships, or maybe it was shorter term relationships where you're dating and you find out within shorter periods of time that you're not compatible, but then maybe this one was longer, and this was like your learning for a longer term relationship here. So the learning in the aspect of will and fire, I would say that, there was some definite, you were learning, I think, how your will in terms of your desires and your volition and what you want out of a relationship. Like, I think what you were learning in this was how that fits into relationships, like with the fire inside of you and what you want out of things. How is that working for you? How do you make that work, that part of you work to make a relationship work? That's kind of the energy I'm seeing over here. Now, the energy between the two of you is interesting. So this is like a milestone card. It's a major arcana card, just like the star down here. So this is kind of like, it's heavier archetypal energy. It's the Hermit. So I see this as I have 2 major ways of reading this card for a relationship reading. So there's definitely some will going on here, because you'll notice he carries his staff just like a wand over here. So there's definitely some passion and will in here. So, hermits go off by themselves to seek solitude so that they can have a spiritual awakening. So So one aspect of the hermit is kind of the obvious one. He's alone. So the energy of this relationship could have been, and maybe this is why it ended, if one of the two of you or both of you, even though you were together as a couple, maybe you guys felt lonely. Like maybe one part of the incompatibility is that, well, speaking from my own experience, I remember once I was with someone and I felt lonely with him, right? And I realized it's like I'm lonelier with him than if I had just been single. And then that's kind of when I realized it needed to end. So I don't know if this could have been like the solitude, loneliness definition of the hermit, where, the energy between the two of you, for some reason, like the relationship was leaving you with a kind of feeling of emptiness or loneliness or something like that. There's another way I would look at the hermit in this relationship. It could be that, it could be the spiritual growth aspect. So maybe the thing that was really the crux of this relationship for you was that the two of you coming together allowed both of you to evolve on a spiritual plane. So I'm not saying you ended up being Buddhas and stuff, right? But and the reason why I say that is that there's definite spiritual evolution. So like the light in the lantern of the hermit, to me, like symbolizes, that the piece of enlightenment that came to the hermit in his journey to enlightenment, in seeking out the solitude. He still has farther to go though, because the light is still external to him, right? So he found something, but it's not fully incorporated into his being. It's still separate from him in the lantern. So there was definite, like, if you take this angle to the hermit, I would say that this could be that you have both had some spiritual awakenings or some more significant awakening in this relationship. You guys are still hurting, right? So maybe it's not fully assimilated into who you are yet, and allowing you to move forward with, lessons learned and now becoming better people. But that could have been what was found in the relationship. So those are the two ways I would look at the relationship energy, and you know it better than I, so if one of those resonates more than the other, then that's the meaning you need to take. Now I'm going to do the thing that you really asked for, and I'm just going to bring it up to make sure I phrase it correctly again. You wanted to know about your ex John, if he still finds what he still finds attractive about you and likes about you, but not what he did in the past. So I've never asked the tarot to reveal this kind of information before, so this is going to be interesting. So maybe this is going to be a learning process for both of us. So let's just do it. I'm going to pick 2 cards for you for these qualities that you want to know about. Okay, 1 and 2. Let's see what we got here. Well, this is an interesting contrast. I'll talk about this one though first, because this one's easier. So the Knight of Cups, knights are explorers, and the Knight of Cups, cups, the suit of cups is all about emotions. So the suit, the element is water, so emotions kind of flow. It's also about romance, often, and since this is a romantic reading. And so the energy of the suit of cups is what the knight is going on a quest for. So knights go on quests. They are explorers. So so the Knight of Cups is someone who is basically going on a noble quest for emotional fulfillment. So as a quality that he likes about you, I would say that this would be, you could interpret this that, you're in touch with your emotions, you understand what you're seeking for emotional fulfillment, and you actually go do it. So from a passion perspective, since that was part of your energy too, learning about your will and your passions here in the relationship, I think you had a drive to find emotional fulfillment. So some quality of you resonated with him in terms of how you live your life in searching for emotional fulfillment. So whether that emotional fulfillment was the romance itself, like something about your career, livelihood, job, you might be a student or something where you're studying what you're passionate about. Maybe it's something outside of work, some sort of pursuit, I don't know if you like to go hiking and being in nature, surfing, whatever it might be. I think he admired that about you, right? This way that you understand how to conduct a quest and how to explore and go find what is emotionally fulfilling to you. Now this other one, this is the Five of Swords. So this is interesting too. In terms of, like, you know, the fact that we talked about the Page of Wands being like, is this a relationship which is basically an opportunity for you to learn how your will fits into relating to someone on a romantic basis? This is like the five of Wands. Again, it's about passions and will. And if you look at the scene of the card, they are all there's five figures. Excuse me, there's five figures. They're all dressed fairly the same. They're all on level ground. There's another one where they're not on level ground, which is why I point that out. They're all on level ground. There's, like, you know, they're all same class. There's no real distinction between all of these people. So they're just kind of in a battle of wills. It's like when wills clash and, like, basically no one's really clearly coming out on top. So I would say that, you know, when I get this card for relationships, it's usually indicative of the fact that there was a battle of wills. There might have been, like, a lot of arguing, not necessarily vicious arguing and negative arguing, but a lot of disagreements that needed resolution. So I think he, like, you know, as a quality that he liked in you, since this was something that was definitely your energy of the relationship, I think he liked the fiery nature that you had, maybe like if it was combative, like verbal sparring, or, you know, fighting to get your way, really believing in your way or whatever. I think like that sort of like dynamic was something that he enjoyed about your personality. So that might have been like the whole, like, okay, you know, really like butt heads and have like really great makeup sex or something like that, you know? So that sort of fiery passion that like would basically make you duel, like DUEL duel wills with him. I think he liked that. So that's kind of interesting. So the fire and and your willingness to, the fire in you, and then the your willingness to seek emotional fulfillment and like and exploring avenues to find emotional fulfillment in your life. There's one other thing you said, and maybe I'll draw a card to look for this too. You wanted to know what I think to help me. I asked you what your goal was, and you said, I think to help me improve my self-esteem after he wandered, to know he wasn't lying about his feelings for me before, if that makes sense. So we did get this deception card. So, you know what? I'm going to draw one more card for you. And let's just take a temperature read on John's honesty level. So let's do a temperature read on honesty. Okay, so at this point, whatever, so this is like the light of the sun. So this is definitely, I think, even if there might have been deception in the relationship, like how since we're drawing this about how he felt about you, this is like one of the most positive cards in the deck, the light of the sun. Like, you know, the sun dispels shadows, right? It like throws its light on things. I think like it's a super simple definition here. I don't really need to go into the scene of the card. I would say that the temperature read on his honesty about how he felt about you, that's what I was drawing it for. I think the things that he indicated he liked about you, that was basically true, right? If I'm reading this card correctly. And so, you know, whatever other deceptions might have happened in the relationship, if that's what this indeed refers to, we talked about that earlier, right? I think like whatever he indicated were the qualities that he really loved about you, those you can take at their face value. So that's good. So now I'm going to take a look at the card that you drew, this last one to sum things up. Let's see what you got over here to just tie everything together, or often offers guidance too. So, okay, so you got another wand, fire. So, so this one is about basically, I think the advice for you, like, remember how over here we were talking about how you need to lay a foundation and become grounded? So I feel like the way this is summing it up, we talked about, the fact that that bringing back that light that shines in you is kind of, it's kind of getting hard it's hard right now to ignite that again, to get the star energy back, to bring that light back. And then, we're talking about building the foundation of groundedness here, and we're talking about your will and the relationship and whatnot. So we've got another will card, right? Will, passions, fire inside you, and stuff like that over here, these wands. This is the Three of Wands. The energy of this card is all about like setting things into motion. So I think like what this is telling you, and the advice for you, is that if what I was saying was true about the energy of this relationship, that you're trying to figure out, you have a fire, it seems like, I think you have a fiery will, and you're basically the lessons of this relationship, the spiritual development or whatever, was figuring out how your nature, your fiery nature and your will fits into a relationship. You were learning that. I think, once you have a little bit more groundedness, then it's really about setting all of those lessons into motion, right? The card before this one is all about planning and analyzing. This one's about now taking a step forward and setting everything into motion. So what I would say is like, okay, this relationship was a great learning experience. And so you're absorbing those lessons. So the light might be like, you need to draw that in to in order to just, take in the life lessons of what has just happened. And then, okay, it's setting it into motion. So I think what this is basically an optimistic card for the next relationship, that now you have more experience, you've done some analysis, you can do some introspection, get grounded again, and then move forward. And this is like setting things into motion for the next stage. So I think that's all I have to say. So I hope you found this useful, and thanks for the opportunity to read for you. Take care.